The morning sunlight filtered through the blinds, painting soft streaks of gold across the walls. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring blankly at my phone. Her message was still there, glowing on the screen. "I think we should take a break." For a moment, I wondered if this was some kind of dream. Just last week, things between Emma and me seemed perfect. We had shared a spontaneous road trip to the coast, laughing as the salty breeze tangled her hair. Yet now, the vibrancy of those memories was overshadowed by a growing emptiness. I tapped out a reply but hesitated before sending it. What was there to say? I had 1,000 questions but feared the answers. Instead, I shoved the phone into my pocket and left my apartment. Deciding that aimless wandering might distract me from the storm raging in my chest, Emma paced her small studio apartment, her heart heavy. She knew her decision would hurt me, but the weight of our relationship had started to feel suffocating. It wasn't my fault. I was attentive, caring, and undeniably kind. Yet, somewhere deep inside, Emma felt she was losing sight of herself. Her career as a graphic designer had stagnated. She'd sacrificed personal ambitions for our shared routines, and now, each compromise felt like a brick added to an invisible wall between us. Taking a break wasn't about me, she told herself. It was about finding clarity, reclaiming the parts of her life she'd let slip away. Still, the silence in her apartment was deafening. She grabbed her sketchpad and charcoal pencils, hoping to lose herself in the lines and shapes. But the page remained blank, mirroring her state of mind. Frustrated, she threw the sketchpad across the room, watching as it hit the wall with a dull thud. The act felt oddly satisfying, yet it did nothing to fill the void inside her. Days turned into weeks. My routine became a series of motions: work, gym, home. The initial shock of Emma's message gave way to a gnawing anxiety. What had gone wrong? My friends offered well-meaning advice, but their words felt hollow. Maybe she'll come back after she's sorted things out, my best friend, Mark, suggested over beers one night. I nodded, though I wasn't convinced. I decided to channel my energy into something productive. Running had always been my escape, so I started training for a marathon. Each mile was a small victory, a momentary reprieve from the questions looping endlessly in my mind. But even the running couldn't keep the nightmares at bay, visions of Emma laughing with someone else. Her hand in another man's haunted me during restless nights. Meanwhile, Emma found herself grappling with the consequences of her decision. She threw herself into projects at work, hoping to reignite her passion. She joined a local art class, rediscovering the joy of creating without constraints. Slowly, she began to feel more like the person she'd been before she met me. But with each step forward, an ache in her chest reminded her of what she'd left behind. One evening, Emma attended an art gallery opening. She admired the bold strokes and vibrant colors of a piece titled Eclipse. The artist, a middle-aged woman with a warm smile, approached her. "It's about finding balance," the artist explained. "The sun and moon, light and shadow, they're opposites, but they need each other to create something beautiful." Emma's thoughts drifted to me. Maybe we, too, were two opposing forces that could coexist if we found the right balance. The realization settled in her mind like a seed, fragile yet full of potential, but her newfound clarity was shaken that night when she scrolled through social media and stumbled upon a photo of me. I was at a party, smiling next to a woman Emma didn't recognize. Her stomach churned. Was I moving on? The thought clawed at her, filling her with a mixture of jealousy and regret. That night, she tried to call me. Her hand trembling as she pressed the phone to her ear. But I didn't pick up, and the silence felt like a cruel confirmation of her fears. The marathon day arrived. I stood among the crowd at the starting line, the crisp autumn air filling my lungs. The race wasn't just about physical endurance, it was a symbolic challenge, a way to prove to myself that I could keep moving forward. As the race began, I fell into a steady rhythm. The city unfolded around me, a blur of cheering spectators and vibrant leaves. Somewhere around the halfway mark, fatigue set in, but I pushed through, focusing on the sound of my footsteps and the steady beat of my heart, when I crossed the finish line. A wave of emotion surged through me. I'd done it. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of pride. As I caught my breath, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma. "I've been thinking about us. Can we talk?" My heart skipped a beat. Relief mixed with caution. I'd waited weeks for this moment, but now I wasn't sure if I was ready to face it. We met at our favorite coffee shop, a cozy nook tucked away on a quiet street. The air between us was thick with unspoken words. Emma broke the silence first. "I'm sorry for how I handled things," she began. "I needed time to figure out who I am outside of us. But that doesn't mean I stopped caring about you." I nodded slowly. "I've had a lot of time to think, too. I'm not going to pretend I wasn't hurt, but I understand. Maybe we both needed space to grow." Our conversation grew heated as buried frustrations surfaced. My voice trembled as I admitted how abandoned I'd felt, while Emma confessed to the fear that she might never be enough for herself, let alone for me. "And then I saw that photo of you with someone else," Emma blurted, her voice cracking. "I thought you'd moved on." My eyes widened. That wasn't what it looked like. "She's Mark's cousin. We were at his birthday party. Do you really think I could just forget about us?" Tears streamed down Emma's face as she reached across the table. "I don't want to lose you. But I'm scared. Scared that even if we try again, I'll mess it all up." My voice softened. "We're both scared, Emma. But maybe that's what makes this worth fighting for." By the time we left the coffee shop, the heaviness between us had lifted, replaced by a tentative sense of hope. Rebuilding our relationship wasn't easy. It took months of open communication and mutual effort. We set boundaries, ensuring we had time for our individual pursuits. Emma continued her art classes and even showcased her work at a local exhibit. I discovered a love for volunteering, mentoring young runners at a community center. Our love, once rooted in shared routines, evolved into something deeper. We learned to celebrate each other's independence while cherishing the moments we spent together. In time, we realized that the break, painful as it was, had been a catalyst for growth. One evening, as we stood on the same beach from our road trip months ago, Emma reached for my hand. The setting sun cast a warm glow over the horizon, a reminder of life's inevitable cycles of endings and beginnings. "I'm glad we found our way back," she said softly. I squeezed her hand, a small smile playing on my lips. "Me too." And as the waves lapped at our feet, we knew that while love wasn't always easy, it was worth fighting for.